Hello, parents and families. Thank you for joining us today. We will get started in a bit. It's not quite 6, and we'll wait for a bit for families to join us afterwards. So hang on tight, and we'll get started in a bit. So thank you for joining us, either in person live or watching the recording later on. So hang tight, and we'll get started soon. Hello, families. Again, thank you for waiting. We'll start in a few minutes. So just hang on tight. If you're ready, just as some notice, you can put in comments and questions in the chat, or at the end of our session, we'll have an opportunity for you to text in questions in case you're having issues with technology. You'll be able to text us, and we'll be able to respond to some questions. So keep an eye on that. Also, lastly, in the comments, there is a link. If you want to click on that link, you can complete the survey for our event today. It's also in the description for today's meeting. So we'll get started at 6:02, so just hang on tight. Thank you for your patience. Hi, parents. We're going to get started. So again, we want to welcome you to our parent meeting today on November 4th. Today's topic is mental health, and we know for a lot of families and students, there's a lot of challenges with mental health currently. And so we want to just give you some tools to get you all started. But just to introduce our staff for today, our people presenting, I'll have them introduce themselves in a bit. But really, again, our information is on here as well. Our virtual office numbers, if you ever need to call us, since you're working from home, and our emails in case you need to email us as well. We'll try to respond to your emails as soon as possible. And if you have a generic question, you can email trio@apu.edu. And so I'll have Ms. O'Neill introduce herself and get us going.
Hi, nice to meet you. I'm Ms. O'Neill, the Outreach Specialist for the APU Upward Bound program. We're really excited to be with you tonight for this family meeting. I just want to reiterate my contact information. You can call or text me at any time. My number is 626-603-5628. And the email that's easiest to reach me at is koneal@apu.edu. Thanks, and I'll hand it over to Liz.
Hello, my name is Liz Christofferson. I am the TRIO Upper Bound Graduate Assistant. My phone number is 626-603-6444, and you can reach me at the TRIO UB email. Thank you.
Just to start us off with some announcements, I wanted to let you know that Upward Bound is offering a stipend or just a small little pool of money for our students for their participation in the program. The money that they get would be $40 a month, and it would be dispersed out over 2 semesters, just to kind of help them during these times and to really encourage participation. They get more money based on the more they participate. So if they come to tutoring, our Saturday academies, kind of virtual events just like this parent meeting, they're eligible to earn more cash. We also wanted to reiterate for our class of 2021 that college applications are open, that we're here to help with those. FAFSA as well, we're here to help guide. They can reach out to us at any point and we'll kind of help them through those applications. There are guides located to most applications on the Google Classroom and Canvas Classroom for our seniors. And for all of our students, there is going to be a virtual college fair this Sunday, November 8th, and that can be found at virtualcollegefairs.org/events. So if they want to kind of get to see what colleges are out there and what they're offering virtually, this is a great option. Our next Saturday Academy is going to be November 14th, and we'll be covering kind of some exciting topics. That's a continuation of the conversation that we're starting today. And next week, we are celebrating First Gen Day for a whole week, and we're going to have workshops all week from 3 to 4 p.m. during tutoring to kind of equip the students for being first gen and kind of looking forward to their college journey. So if you have any questions, please reach out to us, but we're excited to join you and kind of learn together as we process everything. And I'm going to hand it back over to Liz as she talks about student burnout.
Hi, so our first topic is going to be student burnout. So the definition that we have is burnout is a state of emotional, physical, and mental exhaustion caused by excessive and prolonged stress. It occurs when people feel overwhelmed, emotionally drained, and unable to meet constant demands. So one of the biggest difference between stress and burnout is that stress, the individual still feels they have control, but with burnout, you kind of feel you've lost all your motivation. So this gives us a little visual of differences between stress and burnout. So some of the big things are that with stress, you might feel over-engagement, while burnout, you just feel disengaged. You don't have the energy. You lack your motivation. And this can lead you to feel depressed, or just that everything takes a lot more energy than maybe it normally would. Can you go to the next slide? Thank you. So emotional burnout can affect people in multiple ways. So this can be physically, emotionally, or mentally. And they're all very interconnected. So some examples of physical symptoms are when someone has trouble sleeping, and then this trouble sleeping can then lead to maybe anxiety, which is an emotional symptom, and then a mental symptom that you might see is forgetfulness. Other signs might be having lots of headaches or muscle pains. People might have a change in appetite, so they might stop eating, stop sleeping, or they might do the opposite and sleep a lot more and sleep a lot less. You might also, like I've said, loss of motivation, or you might feel withdrawn from other people. Maybe you don't have the energy to interact with the people you care about, your friends. And so there's just a lot of different signs for emotional burnout. And it's basically just because your body is kind of forcing you to stop, to take a break, because it is just so tired, it can't continue on. Thank you. And then some ways to kind of combat burnout, if you notice it happening for you or someone else maybe, is to work on time management skills, maybe prioritize what is important for you, what you actually have to do right away versus what can kind of take a back burner. Maybe you have more time before it needs to be completed. It's also important to take lots of breaks. This will help you to prevent burnout, get your energy back, just kind of recuperate. And then it's always important to do things that you enjoy. This will help it's part of self-care, so it'll help you kind of recuperate again. It's not all work if you take time for yourself. And then as students, it's always important to communicate with your teacher if you are feeling overwhelmed, or even communicate with your family to see how they can help, or what tools they can give you to kind of combat the burnout you may be feeling. And then ways as a parent that you can help your student is to start conversations with them, just kind of check in, see how they're doing, give them a space to vent if they need to, or just to let them know that they are heard. It's also important not to supervise everything they do. This is just really important because it'll help students to gain autonomy. It'll help them learn what they can handle and then also learn to ask for help. But it's also important not to just kind of throw them out there. So always still be there as a guide. And then the last big tip would be don't overschedule. So it's always nice to have time in your schedule just for yourself. If you're overscheduled, you're more likely to feel burned out. You're going to be using lots of your energy for different activities and you'll lack that energy sooner. So the big concept or idea that I wanted everyone to take away from this is that burnout is more than just an excessive amount of stress. It affects you physically, mentally, and emotionally, and it affects your productivity. And so it's really important to be aware of what you can handle and maybe when you're getting to the point where it's a little too much to handle so that you can have those conversations with the people around you that maybe you need help or you need to take a pause and a break to kind of take care of yourself. So next I'm going to pass it back over to Miss O'Neill.
Yeah, and so burnout is usually caused by a buildup of stress and just maybe by being constantly on call. So our students are kind of experiencing new levels of burnout with being on the computer just almost 24/7. So one thing we can do to kind of help avoid burnout, avoid getting to that state where your productivity is inhibited, but also your mental state is compromised. So one thing we can do is prioritize de-stressing or stress management early on. You can't eradicate stress or stressors. There are always going to be stressors in our life, things that cause us stress. But we can kind of work to manage our stress, manage our time, and kind of make plans to build healthier habits. And I know it can be hard right now. We completely acknowledge, I know we're talking about burnout and stress, but we experience it ourselves. Some of the best things that we can recommend in terms of de-stressing, helping our students, is encouraging healthy sleep habits. It can be really hard when you're on the computer a lot. Studies show that blue light from our computer, from our devices, does inhibit sleep. So maybe making sure that they're off computers, off devices, 30 minutes to an hour before they go to bed. Less stress means that they're going to be in less physical pain. They'll have better relationships, more controlled emotions. We encourage them to exercise. We were definitely moving a lot more before the pandemic happened, before March. But now we've kind of, because we're at home, we tend to be a little bit more sedentary. So encouraging them to get out and get exercise, to walk around, to move, it can really help with this process of de-stressing. So let's unpack this a little bit more. So when we talk about de-stressing or stress relief, it can look different for each individual. I'm not here to say it looks the same. Everyone might have a different process of de-stressing. And so it's important to check in with your student and ask, what do they do to maybe calm down? What brings them joy? What is something that they look forward to in a day? And that can be what their de-stressing activity is, what their stress relief activity is. For some students, it might be sleep. Others, it might be exercise. Maybe playing a video game, having fun, having play, being a kid is important. It's key to have stress in moderation. I know right now we are in stressful times. There's a lot that is kind of asked of our students, being in school, having those requirements, even for our seniors, especially filling out college apps, FAFSA, looking forward to a future that's kind of uncertain. It does weigh kind of almost invisibly on our students. So kind of checking in and seeing if their stress is in moderation, what we can do to limit stress at home or stress in just their day-to-day lives is very vital. Check in with yourself and monitor your stress level. as parents, as family, please, please, please make sure that you guys are okay too. It's really hard to pour from an empty cup. And so it's hard to check in on your students if you yourself are stressed, if you yourself are burned out. So make sure to kind of model those healthy habits by taking care of yourself as well. And kind of developing any habits of like, hey, let's just take a break. If you see your student that maybe they're struggling, maybe they have like a migraine and they're still trying to do homework, encourage them to take a break, take a rest, have that time for themselves. We can always communicate to their teachers, to the school, and let them know that, hey, something's going on and they just need a little bit of a break. I think everyone right now is open to giving students grace if they're going through a hard time. So really trying to limit, again, we can't eliminate stress, but we can reduce stressors. And part of de-stressing and eliminating stress is self-care, making sure that we're building healthy habits, we're taking care of ourselves, and that we're really promoting wellness. And so Upward Bound wants to partner with you in this, and we're going to be going over kind of like self-care and sending out care packages to all of our students. Next Wednesday, as part of that First Gen celebration, we will be doing Wellness Wednesday, and that's going to be in partnership with those self-care packages. So that'll be November 11th from 3 to 4. We encourage you to have your students attend. We're happy to have them, and it's a good conversation because the conversation we're starting today, it's not going to cover everything with stress, burnout, and procrastination, but it'll kind of open that door to that conversation, and we're going to work over the next few months to really kind of build those skills in partnership with you and your students. Continuing on to procrastination. So the three of these are really kind of interlinked, making sure that we are managing stress, making sure that we are not getting burned out, and understanding the root cause of procrastination. So procrastination is something that we all do, but just to kind of give you a good definition, it's not a sign of being lazy. Not doing something immediately is not a sign of laziness. It can be a sign of fear. The student might be worried about failing at the task at hand. Oh, it's just so overwhelming. I don't even know how to start. I'm just not going to start. And that's kind of the root cause of procrastination and why most people procrastinate. It's not a calm state to procrastinate because the task or the item might be looming over your head. And so we really want to work with our students to kind of chunk the task at hand or break it up into smaller pieces so it becomes more manageable, less fear-inducing, and less overwhelming. Because if you procrastinate and get overwhelmed, that can lead to a feeling of burnout or stress, which we really want to mitigate. So then it becomes a little bit easier for our students. So how do we combat procrastination? Figure out what's causing the procrastination. We all procrastinate over various issues and walks in our life. It could be doing household chores, it could be doing homework, or something larger. The best way we can encourage you to do that, similar to the ways of combating burnout, is creating smaller goals and prioritizing when things need to be done. So breaking up the task into parts. If they have to write an essay, let's start by finding the sources that they need for that essay. And not just be like, okay, write an essay. It takes steps. There's a process to everything. So really kind of creating and going along with that process will kind of help mitigate procrastination. Create incentives for the student, incentives for themselves, that whole philosophy of work and reward, but just going, okay, if this gets done, then, maybe I can watch 30 minutes of TV or relax in any way that I see fit. Reward with self-care. Force yourself to do something that you least want to complete. Kind of just rip off the Band-Aid and try to get it done. That usually helps because once we procrastinate, it builds up that stress, which creates burnout. And creating concrete goals of like, this is going to be done by today, so I'm going to hold myself to it. Building off that idea, we're going to transition to SMART goals, which if you haven't heard of SMART goals, it's an acronym for having a goal that is specific, measurable, achievable, realistic, and timely. So when we say, hey, we're going to have this New Year's resolution and it kind of fiddles out like mid-January, it's not technically a SMART goal then, because if we're creating a resolution, we want something that's specific, like I am going to do this essay and I'm going to do, my best on it. That's part one. That's specific. I'm going to try my best on this task. And then we have to do it measurable. Maybe, okay, I am going to start by going to tutoring and getting help from our tutors, which is a resource that we offer to our students. It's achievable. It's in the realm of possibilities. It's not like I'm going to fly to the moon. It's something that can be achieved by the student. And it's realistic, which is kind of on the same vein. We really want it to be in their power to accomplish, but realistically something that they can achieve. So for our students who are like, yeah, I just really want to try my best on this. We want to make it as realistic as possible and as achievable as possible. And the last thing is timely. This kind of builds into that procrastination. If you put a deadline to yourself, it's easier to hold yourself accountable to that deadline than it is to keep procrastinating and pushing it off, which is why we see ourselves kind of procrastinating on maybe household chores, because it's not something that's timely and needs to be done. It's something that like, oh, when I have time. So really creating a goal that has these 5 elements makes it much easier to do, and it's a great way to combat procrastination. Ways that you as family, as parents can help your scholar, give encouragement. Encouragement definitely helps. Be their cheerleader, be their friend. Create a study area with low distractions. We're finding now that sometimes being at home can be very distracting. And for those of us that are working from home, that's a similar experience. There's a lot going on, and this is a space that we are living in and working in, and it kind of gets messy and complicated. So if they have a space to study that has low distractions, low volume, a space that they can really concentrate, it's going to set them up for success. Ask your student what they need. Just kind of start that communication process. If they need more help, more resources, we're here to help, and we're happy to reach out and kind of help them discover that process. But having that conversation with them will really normalize, like, hey, it's normal to look for support. Remind your students to take breaks, to eat, to sleep, build those healthy habits, model those healthy habits. It's something that we all need right now, and it can be difficult to achieve a healthy school or work-life balance. Laugh with them, spend time talking, really build that relationship. This is a good time to kind of like open the door to kind of have those happy moments together at home. We recognize fully it can be difficult, but the benefits of laughter are astronomically beneficial. Looking at what we can do to make the student happy, unlock that serotonin in their brain where they're just kind of being happy and feeling calm. And it's a really good way to de-stress, help with procrastination and burnout. In terms of continuing this conversation, there are a lot of great resources that talk about wellness, well-being, and mental health. And they will be kind of linked in the resource box of this YouTube video. But some apps that students can download, or you can download: HeadSpace, MoodFit, Calm, Colorfy, and Daylio are great resources for them to look at. There are also a lot of hotlines if they need to talk to someone. The Teen Line 1-800-TLC-TEEN. They can text TEEN to 839863 if they need to talk to someone. The Suicide Prevention Center Hotline 1-877-7-CRISIS. Trevor Hotline for LGBTQ1-800-TLC-TEEN youth is 1-866-488-7386. And pretty soon, Americans are going to be able to dial 988 to reach the National Suicide Prevention Lifeline. So there are a lot of great resources if they need to talk to someone. If we need to find more resources for them, please let Upward Bound be of help. But we just really wanted to start this conversation with you today. If you have any comments, questions, or concerns, please put them in the YouTube comment box, and we'll be able to address them live with you tonight. If not, you can always call or email us to kind of continue this conversation whenever you access this resource of these materials. I'll hand it back over to Mr. Bustos now.
And so just parents, again, we wanted to just emphasize the need for this kind of topic. Everything we hear from students, everything we hear from other professionals is the students are really struggling managing learning in this environment. And so we just hope that you can feel equipped to have a conversation with your student and hopefully feel a little more informed regarding the different topics for the different manifestations of stress in a student's life, both physical, mental, emotional. And so we do want to give you an opportunity to give us some, if you have some questions, you can text that number right now, and that'll go directly to me. I can answer those questions throughout the night, or even if you want to put it in the chat box in the comments for our YouTube video, you're able to do this as well. And lastly, I pinned the link in the comments, but it's also in the description of our survey. We'll more than likely send that out via Remind or via email to all our parents, just so you can complete the survey, letting us know how we can improve and what topics you may be interested in, and so that your students can receive credit for participating. So I'll wait a few seconds if there's any questions, either through text at 626-414-3532 or through the chat box in YouTube. Also, we're doing things a little differently, where we're trying to do one meeting in English on one day, one meeting in Spanish on the second day, just to kind of give you all time and make our meetings a little bit shorter. Instead of the full hour, I'm trying to keep it under 30 minutes so that y'all can continue to do all the things y'all need to do. We know that everybody's really busy right now. So it doesn't look like we have any questions, so we'll be ending our stream now. So thank you all very much for attending. On behalf of all of Tree Upward Bound, if you have any questions, again, text that number or or contact us at that email. If you have questions about applications, if you know somebody who may be interested in joining Upward Bound, again, you can email us there and we'll get you the right information. We're officially going to start November 16th, but we are starting to collect emails and names of interested applicants. So thank you very much and have a great rest of your day. Bye.